are often told to stop playing video games and grow out of them. With the introduction of new media, society has faced social changes, the way entertainment is consumed and reacted to. Started with a change in social attitudes back in the 4th century, as mentioned by Plato, then jumping forward a few thousand years to the 4th century with the introduction of books, thanks to the printing press by Jonas Gutenberg in 1450. This has caused huge society changes thanks to the explosion of new ideas, thanks to the invention of books. The commonplace of novels by the end of the Renaissance really brought about social changes as people began to be worried about the effects that books were having on women. Lonely and Fine to 2005. Books and novels were not the only media that was to cause concern. With comic books introduced in 1934 and video games today, people in society have been concerned about the impact of this new media. Many studies have been done to try and correlate how playing these games and violent acts go hand in hand. Violent video games have existed since 1972, with 1992's Wolfenstein 3D becoming the archetype for modern shooters. In the 2012 paper, Christian D. Luna mentions how video games such as Call of Duty can be used to teach children about gun safety, and then goes on to report how incidences where video games have been a scapegoat, such as the Combine School Massacre in 1999, have brought about changes for the video game industry by having an effect on the way that games are consumed by putting a rating on them. The effect of the media also has a huge impact on people and can influence and in turn create copycats. Mass shootings and mass media does mass coverage of mass shootings and violent copycat crimes. This is especially true when the status of the person is concerned, with celebrities more likely to be copied. This is cross-cultural, and video games are just another one of the many things people like to copy and in turn become gullible. With mass media's increased focus on how mass shootings are repeatedly linked to video games, some could say those who play such games are violent, crazy people. An excellent article by Benjamin Bush, former U.S. Marine, mentions how the horrors of war don't equal what is present in video games. A lot of studies relating to video game violence have been made by researcher Brad Bushman. Some have been rather questionable in the research methodologies. One study mentions how video games can make people more violent and are better at shooting. The latter point could be proven true, as a proprietor of the 2011 Norwegian mass shootings, Andrew Breivik, mentioned in court documents how he used the 2009 video game Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 as a training aid to commit the crimes. A lot of research has been made into violent video games has come to the conclusion they are not the cause of violent acts, but are in fact unplausibly linked. Cunningham is in Award 2011, Understanding the Effects of Violent Video Games on Crime. But the issue with a lot of the VVG research is how it is biased towards achieving a particular goal. In a 2011 article by Christopher J. Ferguson, he mentions the point of how when a challenge was brought up to ban violent video games, the Supreme Court threw it out, saying, "This is something the U.S. Supreme Court recognized when, after considering a California attempt to ban the sale of violent video games to minors, Brown v. EMA case stated on June 27, 2011, these studies have been rejected by every court to consider them as good reason. Video games don't make kids violent." Time Magazine, C. Ferguson, 2011. But further on the same article, he mentions kids have reasoning, which is important to fact, as these tell them the difference between reality and fantasy, and why a lot of articles fail to mention. These kinds of moral panics have been ongoing, like I mentioned earlier, so the hype around video games is unneeded but expected. This also comes down to psychological environments as well as the desensitization of children through the increase of violent viewing. This can be shown as example in the 1997 card game Carmageddon. This was considered incredibly violent when first released, but compared to modern games such as GTA 5, it's considered weak and funny, because people's perception of violence has changed. As mentioned by Christopher Ferguson in the article Video Games Are Not the Enemy, sales of video games which are violent and the rise of violent crimes have in fact gone down in industrialized worlds. In closing, a lot of the current research and understanding of violent video games is based on moral panic, and this proves that the media is not only bad for you if you choose it